What's good, what's great, and who's next? I'll tell you who's next. Joe Budden.
Hey, hello.
Who else? But before we go into any other content, please like and subscribe the video.
We all die. You either kill yourself or get killed.
Joe Budden is a hip-hop historian, and he's also the owner of the Joe Budden podcast, which was also known as, quote, I'll name this podcast later, unquote. He started loving hip-hop with his own web series called
JoeBuddenTV.com, and that is Tahiri.
Tahiri, yeah, you can find me on MySpace, Tahiri, and what?
So you just gonna bring me a birthday gift on my birthday to my birthday party on my birthday with a birthday gift?
This is where you also seen Drake,
I'm not like you, man.
early Nicki, as well as Wale.
Now that she doesn't even type the numbers in her phone.
Joe Budden is iconic for his early Twitter jokes back and forth with Fabulous and Kevin Hart.
So yeah, remember when you heard it? I'm gonna be on Fab
So
shit.
you know he's Hollywood. He gets his fucking nails done. That's what I'm fucking talking about. What underground artist
This is a buck,
gets his
by the way.
nails
It's not
done?
polished. Underground niggas get their nails done.
He's also known for his rap beefs with Ransom.
It's really a joke. Let's go get that nigga.
It's really y'all fault that I'm in front of the camera. Cause y'all niggas, right? The nigga Ransom, Randy Nichols, got on the camera shit and said all of this fabricated bullshit, and you niggas clicked on it.
And some of the Wu-Tang members.
Joe, you don't know this, but the whole time you was talking, I was gonna snuff you.
Making a hip-hop list with ranking hip-hop artists from least to best, including himself.
I wonder if these people have ever heard a Joe Budden record.
But I mainly want to put to bed the whole confusion between his old cast from his podcast, the Joe Budden podcast, which is now replaced by Ice. But Rory and Mal once replaced Marissa and Rosenberg once replaced Tahiri.
God bless you. I really hope you fucking figure it out and get the people around you who care about you and stop treating the people who love you like shit.
I love you, bitch. Oh my God. I ain't gonna never stop loving you, bitch.
But I think that's what he thought. Joe Budden is right for every single thing that he has to feel when it comes down to the Joe Budden podcast. If you really look at Joe Budden's entire career, Joe Budden is a lyricist. So one of the things he always struggled with in his career is not outshining other lyricists, but outshining people while being a better lyricist.
Turn that motherfucking beat up. Bring it back. Turn that
Let's
shit up.
get into it, man.
Turn that shit up. Joe Budden got some shit on his chest.
Nah, I don't have no shit on my chest. I'm here for one thing. Hold it, B. I'm here for one thing and one thing only. Like, I'm not here to poly. I'm not here to sit around no fucking green room. I'm not here for none of that shit.
All right.
Fuck all of that. I'm here for one thing and one thing only. To get busy. And that's what I do.
And when it came down to the Joe Budden podcast, this is where you first seen Joe Budden be able to release some of the things that his fans was able to see on his albums. Like
Moon Music 3 coming soon, that's it.
Joe Budden is one of those people that is an enthusiast. You can tell by just how passionate he is whenever he's just talking about anything when it comes to hip hop.
You're better than 64 or better of these people. You feel?
I'm better than 50 of these people.
Let me talk for a minute.
That I don't think anybody that was watching that podcast was looking at Rory and Mal for any technical detail when it came down to it other than their talking points.
And then he said, well, I want to get paid from YouTube. Here, I'm paying for it. I've been paying for it. I didn't have it to pay for it. I own it. It's mine. And the YouTube payouts, why would I ever do that? No, I'm still trying to figure this out. Get away from me.
And Joe Budden had to not only amp up his antics by just adding more pizzazz and just, more overtness to the way that he was explaining things, just to gain the viewer in some of the emotional tangibles that he wanted to highlight and how he had conversations.
Hey, I'm here to pod. I'm here to pod.
I can honestly say that Rory was a great side man. Even when you see him on the podcast with Mal, if you listen to the audio, it's almost like Rory knows exactly when to pitch in and ad-lib.
It's just weird at this point. It's like, all right, man, let me just detach myself from this. It was a great run. I love the times we had. It was definitely more goods than bads.
And
I'll give you that.
Giving the crew that whole narrative to them of, how would y'all, isn't that offensive to y'all that these two would abandon this shit?
Like, stop,
abandon
man,
this shit. No,
stop.
this is an agreement upon the three of us. Eden got to shoot it though.
Oh, we definitely gonna have our own camera there.
Yeah,
we gotta have our own camera there.
Definitely got a Dame at the Breakfast Club. That one.
Yeah, because but
Two setups.
But see, because again,
and that's what people really noticed about the Joe Budden podcast, and which made it really great. We really focused on Mal because Mal was one of those people that we knew there was going to be something that he didn't agree with, and for some reason it would be justified but weird in the same time.
Oh, let's talk about the Girl Scouts of America. Girl Scout cookies. Do y'all know?
Whoa.
Yo.
No, listen.
Whoa.
Do y'all know that the Girl Scout has been making?
Ready,
no,
please.
Seriously. Just think about this. The Girl Scout has been making.
Think about it.
No, listen. They have been making $700 million a year since 1999.
But when it came down to the business, Joe Budden did things that we probably never seen a podcast do. He started using guerrilla tactics. And when he had the Joe Budden podcast, as long as Rory and Mal has been on, they ran their show with no ads.
If you're looking at the podcast scene, if you're a podcaster, today is you should feel good today.
Yeah, change is happening.
If you understand what's going on out there and you could just see, I'm not going to talk about it now. Do your Googles or see later when it happens, but you should feel good about the opportunities that are arising at places where there may have been none before.
Right.
So now when it rolls over where Joe Budden gets the Patreon deal and Joe Budden gets the Cash App deal, he's cultivating these deals by himself, because when he realized that the main money that he was going to get was off of their subscription base, he said, let me do some other shows so I can make sure that we have multiple streams of viewership and retention and impressions coming to our channel. So now when it comes down to us being able to get another deal, we can leverage more opportunity, because I've been able to cultivate all these things to kind of show that, not just me, but the ideas that come from this podcast and the business that's done around it, can leverage opportunities.
I'm trying to get this pull-up thing together at the time, unbeknownst to everyone else, because I seen the fuck shit that Spotify was on ahead of time. And they were on like some metric shit, and we just had two different ideas of how things could be done. So I had to go and do it. Insert pull-up, insert Cash App, insert Parks jokes being... you try to come up with a better creation than the pod. You tried to create tried to create the pod competition. So when Spotify started to act real stupid, and I knew I was gonna come in here and say fuck them, we call Leave a Second to Guess.
Hi, I'm Renata Bliss, and I'm your freestyle dance teacher.
See why I don't leave a second to guess?
Yeah.
I call Cash App.
Mm-hmm.
We call Cash App.
What's their number?
Know what they did? Sent something through on faith.
Did they send it via Cash App?
I love Cash App. I don't know why you think
it enabled me the creative freedom to step back. And see, that's really all we need money for.
Facts.
I hate money. But we need it so we could think clearly.
Yeah.
So that all the people that call us with financial problems, like our kids, our parents, our aunts, our friends, anybody that we want to help, we can just kind of get off the phone and help, and they can go on about their business, and we can get back to whatever that mission is. Yeah. It's important, like I said on whatever podcast that was, you only need one person to get it, I guess is my main point. It was irony to me that the most valuable asset in my possession would get an oomph from something that I created to prove something about over here. I can't thank Cash App enough. I can't thank the fans enough.
And everybody in podcast world, as far as maybe not the veterans, because they probably were just, he don't know what he's doing. But a lot of people that wanted to learn and wanted to understand it, like, oh yeah, that's right. You are potting for 3 hours and you're keeping this retention for 3 hours. How much does that cost if you can make somebody sit there for 3 hours? There's not even movies that are 3 hours long. So there was a lot of questions that he was raising, and he was doing the work to figure out how to get that done.
So that's what I'm saying about those guys. Because Joe's running a conglomerate.
I said this on Mad.
He's trying to figure out
And again, I know he's demonized many corporations, but you realize that's how business goes.
I got there for less than a year and went everywhere to do my due diligence and find out the business, right?
Yo, Joe's a dirty nigga. He was taking people on dates.
I'm gonna figure it out. It's the part that they don't see.
Joe's
That's
taking
the
people
part
on
they don't see.
dates. Joe's snooping around. I'm like, yo, Joe, why are you talking to this? They're not even on a fucking show. But Joe comes to me and Joe says, Ak, this is what's going on business-wise.
And while he was doing that, Rory and Mal was just having private conversations talking about
Pretzel and a large popcorn.
A large? You got your money.
You're a thief. These are facts. These are just the facts, bro. You stole from me and Rory.
the reason why he's robbing us is kind of hurtful on Joe Budden's side is because Joe Budden is looking at it like, Mal, you've lived with me. You know, I've had you in my house and you live with me. I allowed you to live with me. He also allowed Marissa to live with him. You know, he's not a guy that ever in time wasn't there for you. And the thing that people don't understand is, and is a great point that Joe Budden said, if he gets bad controversy, like he got canceled when he had those allegations with him, you know, possibly red rocketing his dog.
Red Rocket, come on. Carmen, what the hell are you doing? I'm milking the dog. They make dog milk.
If anybody knows what that means. If that would have went down and they would have still had to continue that podcast while controversy was going down, Joe Budden would have still had to pay. He would have still had to pay them. He would have still had to pay the audio engineer. He would have still had to pay the cameraman. He would have still had to pay the people that are marketing his stuff so they can get more attention. He has people clipping his content. And let's say he did all of that with a $600,000 budget, right? Let's just say, right? And that was the budget for the podcast. He said, yo, for the budget, I believe that this podcast is going to generate without any deals, maybe close to about $600,000 or over $600,000 a year. Let's just say at the time, if he was giving them $10,000 a month, that would still even be a super reasonable amount of money to be giving them, knowing that he still has to pay out everybody else. So for a long period of time, Joe Budden was probably just living off his royalties from Pump It Up and mainly just paying everybody else until things buzz. And in their minds, they just thought that it was just some mystery men because they had Ian there and they thought that Ian was, you know, always on the phone, probably making secret deals, when ultimately he was probably scouting competition and figuring out how can he leverage his opportunities with their numbers and their subscriptions. And that's what Ian was probably doing case studies in different situations, trying to figure out the logistics and how they can make more money for the show.
Keep in mind, I had been poking around the entire company, figuring out how much were they giving Everyday Struggle to get an ad placement into one of our YouTube episodes.
And when they got that opportunity, they were extremely happy. And these are some of the things that they said.
You know, when the money came into play, you know, it was more money than any of us ever seen. You know what I'm saying? So I think, you know, that kind of became a little, that's where the relationship was tested.
I remember it. The entire crew, not just myself, Joe and Mo, weren't really into that deal. It didn't make much sense for us. I mean, of course, more money than we've ever seen in our entire lives. But in the long run, you know, sometimes owning your likeness for fucking perpetuity is just not ideal for anyone.
Right.
So, you know, I mean, listen, sometimes you have to turn down more money than you've ever seen.
I'm here for the bag.
Continue to do this podcast.
I will call this shit anything for the bag.
We'll call it the bag.
The fucking
the
bag.
Podcast.
For the bag. This name of the podcast is For the Bag. You goddamn right we sold out. What the fuck is you talking about?
2 hours of fucking ads.
For the bag.
We laughing and joking, but we have not sold out yet.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's the key motherfucking word.
That lets you know where this is headed. We ain't even sell out yet and we sold out.
Joe Budden is like, yo, do you guys even know about the first of the month? You know, when you're working on a contract base, you're mostly working on a monthly base contract. The only way you're probably working in a bi-weekly or a weekly situation is if it's exhausted to a payroll. and then therefore it can be dispensed by the owner of the show. But if you guys were creating content on contract basis, then he could only been able to pay you out until he got to a point where now he has the network, and then he can create payroll, and then he can start giving you guys bonuses and whatever you want. But you guys chose to, like, while he was probably having like these artistic conversations with you, he probably was like, yo man, we could do this, and we gonna get the girl podcast, and we gonna make a network. And the whole time they were sitting there like,
Get money. He got money. Get it all for him.
Rory and Mal thought that they were working hard. They thought that they were overworked, working 2 days a week.
They was in their little meeting talking about we overworked. I'm tired.
Look at my face. What? You gotta have the same face. I'm just laughing at that one. What? My nigga, y'all was working 2 days a week. Ish.
Stop. You can't tell Parks. Tell Parks you can't tell somebody how to feel, how not to feel overworked.
He's overworked. Yo, Joe, where's the drop? Give me the drop, please.
Guys, come on, wake up. He didn't do anything wrong, and I mainly fault Mal for that. Mal is the one that's really bringing it up. Rory knows, like, yo, I was an employee.
So I was just a third mic kind of chilling in the background and would come in whenever, and that just slowly built into an actual podcast.
Yeah. You know, even people said it. Rory and Mal never looked like they wanted to be known for podcasting, while Joe Budden, that, you know, sacrificed his whole career at one point in time when he had a radio station deal where I think he was making up to $250,000 you know, for his radio show, and you know, his label told him, hey listen, you can't do both, and therefore Joe Budden went back to hip-hop. But he said, no, not this time. I don't care. I'm gonna sacrifice my rap career, and I'm gonna take on this media because this is my calling. You see this in his Joe Budden, you know, TV. You see him, you know, just urging for this level. This is something that he's cultivated his whole entire career. The aesthetic of that podcast is conversations that he's been having, you know, for over 13 to 14 years on camera without anybody around. So the fact that Rory and Mal think that they are entitled to something that they technically didn't even imagine is just crazy. And I think that people need to stop giving Joe Budden so much flack, because if you look at him doing the pull-up and him doing the show with Rory and Mal on Revolt TV, and him doing just he even did like this whole Joe Budden vlog thing. I forgot what it was called. I don't know if he does it anymore, but he was just doing anything to get more views that was hitting, because he was making sure that his boys only worked 2 days a week while he was working damn near 7, just to make sure that he was paying, you know, them at the rate that they was paying, which they were even saying, like, this is like the craziest thing ever, when he said, yo, 1 month we get paid high, and then 1 month we get paid a little bit lower, you know, like our own minimum. What's up with that?
Yo, you remember when Mal said here? Wait. Yo, why we get paid more for some shows than we do for other shows? I do. Why? And I said, because of the expenses on these shows. He still don't believe that.
That means that whenever you guys made more, he made sure that he gave you more. And you sat there, a person that you live with, and said you wanted to audit him. You wanted to audit the finances. I want somebody to go on McDonald's, flip some burgers for 12 years, and then say, hey man, I want to start seeing the bank slips. I want to start seeing how much money y'all getting off of me when I flip these burgers. It's like, okay, sure.
Rory, you are in breach of your contract, and from this point forward, you are fired, and you're not welcome back.
If you like the video, like, subscribe. And I also want to say thank you guys. I'm almost at 2,000 subscribers for my last video with Dame Dash. That's extremely amazing. I'm so happy to even see the support and, you know, amount of just things that people said to me. Some comments, you know, I'm gonna probably think about for the rest of my life. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. If you last this long at the video, you're probably some of the people that subscribe and love the old video. So I salute you, and I thank you so much for supporting me. And I will always make sure to give an unbiased and, you know, uncensored but yet censored opinion, because at the end of the day, we all got to pay the bills. But if you know anybody, let me know. Who's next?